Welcome to Story Tales. Please like this video and subscribe to Story Tales. I hope you enjoy the story. Let's begin. Cole Maddox wiped down the polished oak bar one last time, the familiar scent of hops and grain filling his lungs as he surveyed his kingdom. Blackwater Craft Brewery had been his dream for years, the culmination of discipline, sacrifice, and countless 60-hour weeks. Tonight, he was closing early. Some things mattered more than business. "Boss, we're all set," Ryan called from the back, keys jingling in his hand. "Sure you don't need help with anything else?" Cole shook his head, a rare smile breaking through his typically stoic expression. "Go home to your family. I've got plans tonight." 7 years. 7 years of marriage to Lana. And despite the brewery's demands, despite the pressure of building something from nothing, he'd never once forgotten their anniversary. Not when they were scraping by in that tiny apartment. Not during the construction nightmares. Not even during last year's distribution crisis. He grabbed his jacket and the small velvet box from his office safe. Inside nestled a pair of sapphire earrings that had cost him a small fortune. Lana had been eyeing them for months during their weekend strolls downtown. The late May air carried the distinctive Charleston mix of salt, jasmine, and history as Cole walked the few blocks to his truck. He checked his watch, his grandfather's vintage Omega, the only thing he had left of the man who'd raised him to believe that your word and your work defined you. 6:45. Perfect timing for their 7 o'clock reservation. Murray on Broad Street had been their impossible dream, once the kind of place they used to walk by when they were dating, peering through windows at the crisp white tablecloths and crystal glasses that caught the candlelight like constellations. One day, Lana had whispered, squeezing his hand, "When you're a famous brewery owner and I've conquered the design world." Cole parked his truck in the small lot behind a restaurant. He straightened his tie, the one Lana had given him last Christmas, and ran a hand through his short dark hair, military habits never quite fading even years after his service. The maitre d' greeted him with practiced warmth. "Good evening, sir. Do you have a reservation?" "Maddox, 7 o'clock. The man's eyes flicked to his screen, then back to Cole, his expression shifting subtly. "Ah, yes. The reservation was modified earlier today. Party of 2 instead of a table for 2. Cole's brow furrowed. "Modified? By whom?" "Mrs. Maddox called around noon. She mentioned you'd be meeting another couple." The man glanced away, suddenly interested in rearranging menus. A cold prickle ran down Cole's spine, but his face remained neutral. Years of Marine training had taught him to assess before reacting. "I see. And they're here already?" "Yes, sir. Mrs. Maddox arrived with her companion about 20 minutes ago. They're at table 12 in the main dining room." Cole nodded, a decision forming. "I'll take a seat at the bar first. Bring me a Macallan neat?" "Of course, sir." The bar offered a perfect vantage point. 7 years in the Marines had taught Cole to observe, to gather intelligence before engagement. The amber liquid burned pleasantly down his throat as his eyes adjusted to the dim lighting. And then he saw them. His Lana looking more beautiful than he'd seen her in months. Her dark hair fell in waves past her shoulders, and she wore the black dress he'd bought her in New York last fall. She was laughing, head thrown back, fingers brushing the arm of a man Cole vaguely recognized. Nolan Greaves. Pharmaceutical rep. They'd met at a Chamber of Commerce mixer last year. The man who'd introduced himself as Lana's colleague. Cole watched them for 15 minutes, not moving, barely breathing. They touched constantly, fingers brushing, knees meeting under the table. They shared food from each other's plates like teenagers. But what froze the blood in his veins was the moment Lana reached into her purse and pulled out a small box. His grandfather's watch. Cole's fingers tightened around his glass as Lana carefully removed the Omega, the watch she knew represented everything about his past, his values, his identity. The watch he'd only taken off for her to have cleaned as a surprise last week. "It's a family heirloom." Lana's voice carried just enough for him to hear. Her eyes sparkled with the distinctive gleam she got when playing hostess at their dinner parties. "From Cole's grandfather. I want you to have it." Nolan's face lit up with smug satisfaction as she placed it on his wrist. "Looks expensive. Vintage, right?" 1956, Lana confirmed, caressing Nolan's arm. "Cole never wears it anyway." too busy with his beer. Her dismissive tone cut through Cole like shrapnel. Cole drained his whiskey and set it down with careful precision. The bartender moved to refill it, but Cole shook his head, sliding a $100 bill across the polished surface instead. "Do me a favor," he said, voice steady. "Send a bottle of Dom Perignon to table 12. Don't say who it's from." The bartender nodded, eyeing the generous tip. "And," Cole added, "call George Harwood at Coastal Security. Tell him Cole Maddox needs that favor now. He'll understand." As the champagne arrived at their table, Cole watched Lana's face light up with delight. She scanned the room, likely looking for whatever business associate or social connection had sent it. Her eyes passed over him at the bar without recognition. She wasn't expecting him here, wasn't looking for him. The realization was a bullet to the chest. Cole moved then, crossing the room with the measured pace of a predator. Neither of them noticed his approach until he was standing at their table, smiling with all the warmth of a December ocean. "Celebrating something special?" he asked, voice casual. Lana's champagne glass froze halfway to her lips. "Cole, what were you doing here?" "Funny," he replied. "I was about to ask you the same thing, especially since we had dinner plans for our anniversary." His eyes shifted to Nolan, who had the decency to look uncomfortable. "Nice watch." "I can explain," Lana stammered, her composure cracking. "Nolan and I were just working late." Cole finished for her. His smile never faltered as he reached across the table, unclasped the watch from Nolan's wrist with one smooth motion, and slipped it into his pocket. "You're right," he said to Lana. "It belonged to my grandfather, along with the house you're now evicted from." Lana's face drained of color. "Cole, be reasonable." "Oh, I'm being extremely reasonable," he replied, voice dropping to a dangerous quiet. "I could be making a scene. I could be acting like my world just imploded. Instead, I'm calmly informing you that your belongings will be packed and waiting on the porch by midnight." Nolan puffed up his chest. "Now, wait a minute." "I wouldn't," Cole cut him off. "Not unless you want your wife to hear all about this dinner." As if on cue, a commotion at the restaurant entrance drew their attention. Dana Greaves walked in, escorted by two men in dark suits, Georgia's security team. Her expression was carved from ice as she approached their table. Nolan stood up so quickly he knocked over his water glass. "Dana, this isn't." The crack of her palm against his cheek echoed through the suddenly silent restaurant. Dana picked up Lana's untouched champagne flute and upended it over her head, the expensive liquid soaking into Lana's perfect hair and designer dress. "Thanks for the evidence," Dana said, voice controlled despite the fury blazing in her eyes. She turned to Cole with a curt nod. "Mr. Maddox." "Mrs. Greaves," he replied respectfully. Lana, dripping and humiliated, grabbed for Cole's arm. "Please, Cole, let me." He stepped back just out of reach. "Enjoy your dinner. I've arranged for several more bottles to be brought to your table throughout the evening." His smile returned, razor sharp. "All on your tab, of course." Outside Murray, the humid Charleston night wrapped around Cole like a blanket, heavy, but somehow comforting in its familiarity. He stood on the brick sidewalk, breathing deeply through his nose, palms pressed flat against his thighs. 7 years of marriage. 7 years of building a life together, of shared dreams, of what he'd thought was a partnership. His phone buzzed in his pocket. "Miles." "Hey, brother." His friend's gruff voice came through. "You still at dinner with Lana?" "No," Cole replied, surprised by the steadiness in his voice. "Plans changed." "Are you at the shop?" "Just closing up." "Everything okay?" "I need a place to crash tonight." A beat of silence. Miles knew him well enough to hear what wasn't being said. "My door's always open for you. Got beer in the fridge and the spare room's clean enough." "Thanks. I'll explain when I get there." Cole ended the call and took one more look at the restaurant's warm glow behind him. Through the window, he could see Lana frantically dabbing at her ruined dress, Nolan arguing with the manager about something, both of them looking exactly like what they were cheaters caught in their own trap. That's when he realized something strange. The vice-like pressure in his chest wasn't heartbreak. It was relief, like setting down a weight he hadn't known he was carrying. The eye in the truck, he placed his grandfather's watch on the passenger seat. The face gleamed in the streetlight, ticking away steadily as it had for decades. Cole made a silent promise as he pulled away from the curb. He would not just leave. He would bury them both. Miles lived above his custom motorcycle shop in a converted warehouse on the north side. The space was all exposed brick, steel beams, and motorcycle parts organized in a system only Miles understood. When Cole arrived, his oldest friend took one look at his face, handed him a beer, and pointed to the battered leather couch. "Talk when you're ready," Miles said, disappearing into the kitchen. Cole sank onto the couch, the events of the night replaying in his mind with brutal clarity. Every touch between Lana and Nolan. Every laugh. The watch. "Lana's been having an affair," he finally said when Miles returned with plates of reheated pizza. "With that pharmaceutical rep, Nolan Greaves." Miles let out a low whistle. "The slick guy with the two white teeth? Shit, man." He sat heavily on the coffee table across from Cole. "How'd you find out? Our anniversary dinner." She changed the reservation to meet him, not knowing I'd show up. "Damn, that's Cole. Gets better." She gave him my grandfather's watch as a gift. Miles's eyes widened. "The Omega? The one you?" "Yeah, that one." "Jesus Christ." Miles shook his head, taking a pull from his beer. "What happened then?" Cole recounted the restaurant scene, ending with Dana Greaves's perfectly timed entrance. "So what now?" Miles asked. "Now I think things through. Plan my next move." "Your next move should be divorce papers, brother." Cole nodded slowly. "That's part of it, but not all of it." Miles studied him for a long moment. "You're not just walking away, are you? Would you?" "Hell no." Miles leaned forward. "You don't just burn the bridge, man. You make sure they can't even rebuild." For the first time that night, Cole smiled. A real smile that reached his eyes. Exactly what I was thinking. Cole's phone buzzed again. The screen lit up with Lana's name, the 17th call in 2 days. He watched it vibrate across Miles's kitchen counter until it fell silent, then continued slicing onions for the burgers they were grilling on the rooftop deck. "Still not answering?" Miles asked, appearing with a cooler of beer. "Not a single call. Not a text. Nothing. Good. How many voicemails now?" 23. Cole's knife moved with precise, measured strokes. First apologetic, then angry, now desperate. "Last one. She was crying so hard I could barely make out the words." Miles popped the cap off a beer and slid it across the counter. "You listen to all of them?" "Of course," Cole replied, wiping his hands on a towel. "Know your enemy." They carried the prepped food up to the roof, where Miles had installed a custom grill and seating area overlooking the Cooper River. The evening sun cast long golden light across the water, illuminating the city's church spires and historic rooftops. "You talked to a lawyer yet?" Miles asked, laying burger patties on the sizzling grill. Cole nodded. "Meeting tomorrow. Fortunately, the house is in my name only. We bought it with my military savings before the brewery took off. And we have a prenup her dad insisted, ironically enough. Thought I might try to take her family money someday." Miles snorted. Bet he never figured his princess would be the one getting kicked to the curb. "Her parents actually called me this morning," Cole said, arranging buns on a plate. "Wanted to know why Lana was staying at their place, crying constantly. Seems she gave him some story about me being unreasonable, working too much. And I told him the truth. Every detail." Her father went silent. Her mother called her while I was still on the line. "Damn." Miles flipped the burgers. "That's cold, but deserved." Cole stared out at the river, the colors deepening as sunset approached. "It's not enough, though. What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking I need to talk to Dana Greaves." Miles raised an eyebrow. "Nolan's wife? Why?" "Because she has as much reason to want revenge as I do. And two can accomplish more than one." They ate as the stars emerged over Charleston, drinking beer and planning. For the first time in days, Cole felt a sense of purpose cutting through the betrayal. "You know what the worst part is?" he said, leaning back in his chair. "I keep wondering how long it's been going on. How many times she lied to my face. How many business dinners and late meetings were actually with him." Miles studied his friend's face. "Does it matter? Cheating is cheating. It matters to me. I need to know exactly what I'm dealing with." Cole pulled out his phone, scrolling to a contact he rarely used. Sierra Vaughn, Lana's bestie, the Instagram queen. Miles made a face. "That woman is toxic. That woman knows everything about everyone in Charleston, Cole corrected. And she and Lana tell each other everything. You think she'll turn on Lana? Cole smiled grimly. Sierra cares about two things: status and being on the winning side. Right now, I'm offering both. The Magnolia Cafe sat nestled between an artisan jewelry store and a high-end antique shop on King Street. Cole arrived 20 minutes early, selecting a corner table that offered privacy without isolation. He ordered black coffee and watched the door. Dana Greaves arrived precisely on time, her tailored navy dress and structured handbag screaming Old Charleston money. She moved with purpose, scanning the cafe once before walking directly to his table. "Mr. Maddox," she greeted him, extending a hand. "Mrs. Greaves," he replied, standing to shake it. "Thank you for meeting me." She sat down, crossing her legs at the ankle. "Your call was unexpected, but not unwelcome. I assume this is about our mutual situation." The waitress appeared, and Dana ordered a sparkling water with lime. "How much did you know?" Cole asked once they were alone. "Before the restaurant." Dana's perfectly maintained exterior cracked just slightly, a tightening around her eyes, a small twitch of her lips. "I suspected for months," she admitted. "Nolan's been working late more often. Coming home smelling like perfume he claimed was from meeting clients. The usual cliches." She took a sip of her water when it arrived. "But suspicion isn't proof. And now, I have witnesses who saw them together. I have restaurant receipts I've collected from his expense reports dates that match his late meetings. And I have the photos your security team took at the restaurant." Her smile was sharp. "My attorney says it's more than enough for the divorce." Cole nodded. "Good. That's good. But that's not why you called me, is it?" Dana leaned forward slightly. "You didn't need to check if I had enough evidence." "No," Cole admitted. "I called because I think we want the same thing." "And what's that?" "To wreck them. Completely." Dana studied him for a long moment, then reached for her handbag. She pulled out a sleek tablet and placed it between them, opening a document with neat bullet points. "I've already started," she said calmly. "Nolan doesn't know it yet, but I've frozen our joint accounts. I've informed his boss about his inappropriate relationship with a vendor's wife that would be your wife, as Blackwater supplies beer to several restaurants his company works with. Conflict of interest." Cole felt his respect for Dana growing by the second. "I've also," she continued, "started anonymously posting about their affair in several local Facebook groups. Nothing that could be traced back to me, of course. But Charleston is a small city where reputation matters." "It is indeed," Cole agreed. "I like your style, Mrs. Greaves." "Dana," she corrected. "I think we're well past formalities at this point." "Cole, then." He leaned back, contemplating her. "How would you feel about a more formal alliance? What did you have in mind?" "Coordinated efforts. Shared information. Maximum damage." Dana's smile was genuine this time. "I believe we could work well together, Cole." She raised her water glass. "To mutual destruction?" He clinked his coffee mug against it. "Of our enemies, absolutely." They spent the next hour comparing notes, building a strategy that would dismantle Lana and Nolan's lives from every angle. By the time they left the cafe, Cole felt the first genuine satisfaction since that night at Murray. His phone pinged with a text from Sierra. "Coffee tomorrow? Got that info you wanted." "It's worse than you thought." Cole sat in his lawyer's office, reviewing the documents spread across the polished mahogany desk. Jonathan Pierce had been handling Blackwater's legal matters since the brewery's inception, and his father had been Cole's grandfather's attorney before that. "Everything's in order," Jonathan confirmed, tapping a manicured finger on the stack of papers. "The house is solely in your name. The brewery was established before your marriage and protected by the prenuptial agreement. The only joint accounts are the checking account and the American Express. And I can remove her from those." "The checking account, yes. It's your right to close it and open a new one. The credit card will need to be canceled entirely. I'd suggest doing that immediately." Cole nodded, signing where indicated. "What else?" "Car payments. The Mercedes is leased under your name, though she's the primary driver. Cancel it." Jonathan made a note. "That's fairly aggressive, Cole." "The court might." "The court can discuss it during the divorce proceedings," Cole interrupted. "In the meantime, I'm not financing her lifestyle while she's sleeping with another man." The lawyer nodded, making another note. Fair enough. What about the membership at Palmetto Club? Terminate it. Her cell phone plan. Cut it. Today. Jonathan leaned back in his chair, studying Cole. You're going scorched earth. Is that a problem? Not legally, no. Just making an observation. The lawyer gathered the signed papers. I'll file these immediately. By tomorrow morning, Mrs. Maddox will essentially be financially stranded. Good. Cole stood, straightening his jacket. And Jonathan? I want the divorce papers served to her at her parents' house, preferably when they're hosting their Sunday brunch. The lawyer's eyebrows rose slightly. That's specific. Her mother invites half of Charleston society to those brunches, Cole explained. Maximum witnesses. As Cole left the office, his phone chimed with a text from Dana. Done. Check the Harborview community page. He pulled up the private Facebook group for one of Charleston's most exclusive neighborhoods. At the top of the feed was an anonymous post. Shocking. When business meetings become affairs, local pharmaceutical rep and brewery wife caught in scandalous tryst. Eyewitnesses confirm they've been meeting at the Harborside Hotel for months. Both still married. Hashtag Charleston scandal attached were carefully blurred but still recognizable photos of Lana and Nolan entering the hotel. Timestamped from 3 weeks ago. Cole's jaw tightened at the confirmation of his suspicions. 3 weeks ago, Lana had claimed to be at a design conference in Savannah. His phone rang miles. You seeing this Harborview post? His friend asked without preamble. Just now. It's everywhere, man. Carolina Shores Group has it too. Holy shit. You and Dana work fast. Cole allowed himself a small smile. We've barely started. That evening, he met Sierra at a wine bar downtown. The influencer arrived in a flutter of expensive perfume and jangling bracelets, air-kissing his cheek before settling across from him. Cole Maddox, you handsome thing. I've been dying to see you. She leaned forward, perfectly manicured nails tapping the table. What Lana did is absolutely unforgivable. Just despicable. Cole nodded, waiting. Sierra never volunteered information without making sure everyone knew she was doing a favor. I want you to know, she continued, lowering her voice dramatically. This puts me in an awful position. Lana's been my friend for years. But what she did to you? She shook her head sadly. There are lines you just don't cross. I appreciate your discretion, Cole replied, signaling the waiter for another round. And your loyalty. Sierra preened at that. Well, truthfully, I'm not sure Lana deserves my loyalty anymore. Not after what I found out. And what's that? Sierra pulled out her phone, thumbing through it quickly. She's been talking about you. For months. To anyone who would listen. She slid the phone across to him. These are screenshots from our group chat. The one with the junior league girls. Cole scrolled through message after message of Lana complaining about him. How he worked too much. How he cared more about the brewery than her. How he was emotionally unavailable. How she felt invisible in their marriage. She was setting the stage, Sierra whispered, leaning in conspiratorially, making herself the victim before anyone even knew there was a crime. Cole handed the phone back, his expression unchanged despite the fresh wave of anger surging through him. There's more, Sierra continued. She told us all that you two were basically separated, that you were sleeping in different rooms, that you'd suggested an open marriage because you were too busy for her. That lie hit him like a physical punch. When did she say that? March, right after she started meeting Nolan for coffee. Sierra made air quotes with her fingers. Oh, and she's been bad-mouthing the brewery too, telling everyone your beer isn't actually that good, that you only succeeded because of her family connections. Cole took a slow, measured sip of his bourbon. Thank you for telling me this, Sierra. I appreciate your honesty. She reached across the table to squeeze his hand. That's what friends are for, Cole. And between us, I always thought you were too good for her. Sierra left with promises to keep him updated on anything else she heard. Cole remained at the table, methodically working through his drink as he processed this new information. His phone lit up with a text from Lana. Please, Cole. At least talk to me. I'm staying at Mom and Dad's. I can explain everything. Please call me back. He typed back his first and only response since that night. The only call you'll get is from my lawyer. Cole stood at the back of Blackwater's main tap room. watching as customers filled nearly every seat for a Friday night. The brewery had become one of Charleston's success stories, of veteran-owned business that produced award-winning craft beer while maintaining deep community ties. Ryan, his taproom manager, appeared at his side. "We're packed again, boss. And the new IPA is getting rave reviews." Cole nodded, surveying his domain. "Good. Very good. You okay?" Ryan asked cautiously. "Everyone's noticed you're staying at Miles's place. And there are rumors." "I'm sure there are," Cole replied evenly. "Lana and I are getting divorced. She's been having an affair." Ryan's eyes widened at the direct confirmation. "Shit, man. I'm sorry. Don't be. Just make sure that if anyone asks, that's exactly what you tell them. No embellishment needed." "Will do," Ryan promised, then hesitated. "Oh, and there's someone at the bar asking for you. Says she's Nolan Greaves' wife." Cole found Dana perched elegantly on a bar stool, a flight of beer samples arranged before her. She wore casual clothes today, designer jeans, and a silk blouse that probably cost more than most people's entire outfits. "I hope you don't mind me stopping by unannounced," she said as he took the seat beside her. "I made some progress I wanted to share in person." "Not at all. How's the beer?" "Excellent, actually. I can see why your business is so successful." She pushed a small USB drive across the bar. "This contains some interesting emails from Nolan's work account. It seems he and Lana were careless." Cole pocketed the drive. "How did you get access to his work email?" Dana smiled thinly. "Nolan has used the same password for everything since college. His football jersey number followed by his birth year. Hardly Fort Knox." "Effective," Cole acknowledged with newfound respect. "I've also," Dana continued, "been quietly reaching out to certain social circles. The kind that issue invitations to events that matter in this town, suggesting that having both Nolan and Lana on guest lists might create uncomfortable situations." Cole understood immediately. Charleston's social scene operated on unwritten rules and subtle hierarchies. Being excluded from the right gatherings was a special kind of punishment. "That's inspired," he said. "I thought so." Dana sipped her beer. "What about you? Any developments?" "Several." Cole signaled the bartender to bring fresh drinks. "Lana's credit cards stopped working this morning. The Mercedes has been reported to the leasing company as no longer authorized for her use. And divorce papers will be served at her parents' Sunday brunch." Dana's eyebrows rose appreciatively. "The Prescott brunch? With the mimosa bar and all the junior league wives? That's deliciously cruel." "She built her social life around appearances," Cole replied. "Seems fitting to dismantle it the same way." They clinked glasses, an unlikely alliance bound by shared betrayal. Later that night, Cole sat in Miles's spare room, reviewing the emails Dana had provided. The exchanges between Lana and Nolan dated back nearly 6 months longer than he'd suspected. They contained explicit details of their meetings, complaints about their respective spouses, and plans for a future together once they'd found the right time to leave their marriages. That Cole's jaw clenched as he read Lana's descriptions of him: cold, distant, obsessed with the brewery. A far cry from the man who'd worked 16-hour days to build the life she'd claimed to want, who'd made sure to be home for every important occasion, who'd supported her design business with contacts and capital. But he compiled the most damning exchanges, along with Sierra's screenshots and other evidence he'd gathered, into a single digital file. With methodical precision, he then created multiple anonymous email accounts and began distributing selected content to key people in Lana's social and professional circles to her design clients. Emails where she mocked their taste. To her junior league friends, messages where she criticized them behind their backs. To her potential employers, her plans to use positions as stepping stones. By the time he finished, it was nearly dawn. Cole closed his laptop and leaned back, a grim satisfaction settling over him. The financial guillotine had fallen yesterday. The social execution would begin today, 2 weeks after the restaurant incident. Cole walked into Blackwater for the annual Summer Brew Fest preparation meeting. The event had grown each year, becoming one of the brewery's signature gatherings, with live music, food trucks, and special release beers. Miles was already there, boots propped on a table, as he argued good-naturedly with Ryan about band selections. "The boss has arrived," Miles announced, spotting Cole. Final verdict needed. Local cover band, or that new jazz group from Colombia. Jazz group? Cole decided, accepting the coffee Ryan handed him. More sophisticated vibe. Told ya, Miles crowed, slapping the table. They settled into planning mode, working through logistics, beer offerings, and marketing strategies. Cole found himself fully engaged for the first time in weeks. The familiar rhythm of business decisions pushing aside personal turmoil. Actually, Miles said as they wrapped up, I had a thought about this year's theme. We already settled on Summer Sunset Session, Ryan reminded him. Yeah, but hear me out. Miles leaned forward, eyes gleaming with mischief. What about Celebration of Loyalty? Cole paused, coffee mug halfway to his lips. Subtle, he commented dryly. But effective, Miles countered. We brand it as celebrating our loyal customers, of course. But everyone in town will know what it really means. Ryan looked between them, confused. Am I missing something? Cole here, Miles explained, is taking a stand against cheaters and liars. Making a statement about the value of loyalty. Understanding dawned on Ryan's face. Oh man, that's actually pretty brilliant. Cole considered it for a moment, then nodded slowly. Do it, but keep it classy. Nothing explicit about my situation. Of course not, Miles agreed. Just enough that people connect the dots. The Summer Brew Fest, now officially themed Celebration of Loyalty, was scheduled for the following weekend. In the days leading up to it, Cole received multiple texts from Lana, growing increasingly desperate as her social and financial situation deteriorated. Cole, please. My credit cards aren't working. I need money for basic expenses and why parents are starting to ask questions about why I can't pay for anything. This is humiliating. I just got uninvited from the hospital charity gala. What have you been telling people? He deleted each one without responding. The morning of the festival, Cole arrived at Blackwater at dawn, supervising setup with military precision. By noon, the brewery's expansive outdoor space had transformed into a festival ground, with tents, stages, and a mouth-watering scent of food trucks preparing their offerings. Biggest pre-sale tickets ever, Ryan reported, clipboard in hand. And check out the merch. He pointed to a display of t-shirts bearing the brewery's logo above the slogan. Loyalty, it's what's on tap. Cole couldn't help but smile. Subtle. We aim to please, Ryan grinned. Oh, and your friend Dana called. She's coming with a group of her friends. The festival opened at 2, and by 4, the place was packed. Cole moved through the crowd, shaking hands, accepting condolences from those who knew about the divorce, and noting with satisfaction that business was booming despite, or perhaps because of the recent drama. Dana found him near the main stage, immaculate in white linen pants and a navy blouse, a group of equally polished women in her wake. Cole, she greeted him warmly. Wonderful event. I've been telling everyone they simply must try the Belgian triple. He recognized her companions as prominent Charleston socialites, women whose approval could make or break reputations. Ladies, he nodded respectfully. Dana's been a good friend during a difficult time. I appreciate her support. One of the women, a silver-haired matriarch type, patted his arm. Loyalty is so rare these days, isn't it? We were just saying what a shame it is about Lana. Such poor choices. Another chimed in, and that Nolan Greaves. His wife is one of us, you know? Just dreadful behavior. Cole maintained a dignified expression. Life is full of unexpected challenges. I'm fortunate to have true friends. He raised his glass slightly toward Dana, who smiled in acknowledgement. The festival was in full swing when Miles suddenly appeared at Cole's side, expression tense. Heads up, Nolan just showed up at the gate. And he's wasted. Cole straightened. Alone, yeah. Stumbling, slurring, demanding to see you. Security on it. Jeff's stalling him, but he's making a scene. Cole nodded once. Let him in. Miles's eyebrows shot up. You sure about that? Absolutely. Cole handed Miles his beer. Make sure Dana and her friends have a good view. He moved toward the entrance, where a small crowd had already gathered. Nolan stood swaying slightly, his usual polished appearance, disheveled shirt untucked, eyes bloodshot, hair sticking up as if he'd been repeatedly running his hands through it. Maddox, he called out, spotting Cole. We need to talk, man. This has gone too far. Cole approached calmly, signaling security to stand back, but remain alert. Nolan, he replied evenly. You're drunk at my business event. There's nothing to discuss. The hell there isn't. Nolan lurched forward, jabbing a finger toward Cole's chest, but not quite connecting. You and Dana, you're destroying us. My boss put me on leave. My kids won't talk to me. What the hell did we ever do to you? A circle had formed around them, festival goers riveted by the unfolding drama. Cole spotted Dana watching from the edge, her friends whispering behind manicured hands. What did you do to me? Cole repeated, voice carrying just enough for nearby ears. You slept with my wife, Nolan, on our anniversary. While I was building a business and a future, you were destroying my marriage. Nolan's face flushed darker. It wasn't like that. Lana was unhappy. She said you ignored her, that you... Save it. Cole cut him off. Whatever story she told you, whatever justification you invented, you both made choices. Now you get to live with the consequences. You smug bastard, Nolan spat, swaying dangerously. You think you're so perfect. Your precious brewery. Your loyal customers. You have no idea what Lana really thought about you. Cole remained utterly still, letting Nolan dig his own grave with every slurred word. She laughed at you, Nolan continued, his voice rising. Called you boring. Said you were so predictable she could set her watch by you. Said you. The security team moved in then, one on each of Nolan's arms. That's enough, sir, the larger guard said firmly. Time to leave. Get your hands off me. Nolan tried to wrench free, stumbling and nearly falling in the process. Do you know who I am? A drunk who's trespassing at a private event, Cole replied calmly. Remove him, please. The crowd parted as security escorted a still yelling Nolan toward the exit. Many had phones out, recording the spectacle. By morning, Cole knew the videos would be circulating throughout Charleston's social media. Miles appeared at his side, handing back his beer. That couldn't have gone better if we'd scripted it. Cole took a long swallow, watching as Nolan was deposited outside the gate. Sometimes people do your work for you. Later, as the festival wound down and sunset painted the sky in vivid orange and pink, Dana found Cole again. Spectacular, she said simply. Everyone's talking about how dignified you were, how pathetic he was. Funny how things work out, Cole replied. Dana studied him for a moment. Have you heard from Lana since the scene? 3 texts and 2 calls. I haven't responded. Good. Dana glanced around to ensure no one was within earshot. Because I'm about to make things much worse for both of them. A month after the festival incident, Cole sat in his office at Blackwater reviewing distribution contracts. The brewery had, somewhat ironically, seen a significant uptick in business since his personal drama became public. Apparently, Charleston appreciated a man who stood his ground against betrayal. His intercom buzzed. Boss, Ryan's voice came through. Lana's here. Says she needs to talk to you urgently. Cole stilled, pen hovering over the paper. She'd given up calling and texting weeks ago, after he'd blocked her number. This direct approach was unexpected. Send her up in 5 minutes, he instructed, then immediately dialed Dana. She's there. Dana asked instead of greeting. Just arrived. Wants to talk. Perfect timing. I just got confirmation from my contact at the FDA. The investigation into Nolan's company is going public tomorrow. Apparently, they've been falsifying clinical trials data. Cole leaned back in his chair. And Nolan's involved? Up to his eyeballs. He's the regional sales director. He had to know the numbers were impossible. My guess? Lana found out and wants to make a deal. Trading information for what? Forgiveness, probably. Dana's voice hardened. Don't give it to her. Not a chance, Cole assured her. But I'll hear what she has to say. Record it, Dana advised. Whatever she tells you could be useful evidence. Cole ended the call just as Ryan knocked on the door, ushering in Lana. She looked different, thinner, with dark circles under her eyes poorly concealed by makeup. Her clothes were still designer, but not the cutting-edge fashion she'd favored during their marriage. Her parents were clearly supporting her, but not at the level she was accustomed to. Thank you for seeing me, she said, hovering awkwardly by the door until Cole gestured to the chair across from his desk. What do you want, Lana? He asked, not bothering with pleasantries. She flinched slightly at his tone, but composed herself. I need to talk to you about Nolan. I have nothing to discuss regarding your boyfriend. He's not. She started, then stopped herself. Cole, please. This is serious. Nolan's company is under investigation. The FDA is looking into their clinical trials data for that new migraine drug. Cole kept his expression neutral, despite the internal satisfaction of having his hypothesis confirmed. And this concerns me how. Nolan made me complicit. She twisted her hands in her lap. He asked me to help him alter some reports. I have designed software that can manipulate PDFs without leaving digital traces. I didn't know what they were for at the time. When was this? About 2 months ago. She leaned forward, eyes pleading. Cole, if this comes out, I could face charges too. Conspiracy, fraud. I don't know. I just know it's serious. Cole studied her, noting the desperation in her eyes, the slight tremble in her hands. What exactly are you asking me for? Help, she whispered. Protection. Maybe we could work together? I have information, things Nolan told me about the company. Dates, names. I could testify against him. In exchange for what? Lana hesitated, then straightened her shoulders. A fresh start. Maybe we could try again? I made a terrible mistake, Cole. I know that now. The sheer audacity of her request nearly made him laugh. Instead, he maintained his impassive expression. You want to reconcile? I miss you, she said, a tear sliding down her cheek. I miss our life. Nolan was just a distraction. It didn't mean anything. Nothing meant anything to you, Lana, Cole replied, voice flat. Not our marriage. Not our vows. Not 7 years together. That's not true, she protested. I was lonely. You were always working. Building the life you wanted. He cut her off. The one where you got to be a brewery owner's wife with an unlimited credit card and social status. Another tear fell. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. Cole leaned forward, hands clasped on the desk. But I'm willing to help you. Hope flashed across her face. You are. Meet me at the brewery tonight. After closing, bring everything you have on Nolan and the company. Every document, every recording, every text. We'll talk then. Thank you, she breathed, relief washing over her features. Cole, 9 o'clock, he interrupted. Don't be late. After she left, Cole immediately called Dana. You were right. She wants protection from the FDA investigation. And she's bringing everything she has tonight. 9 o'clock at the brewery. Perfect, Dana replied. I'll have my attorney there. And Cole, make sure you get her full confession on record. The brewery was eerily quiet after hours. The usual hum of equipment and chatter of customers replaced by the soft ticking of the antique clock in Cole's office. He positioned himself behind his desk, a small digital recorder hidden in the drawer beside him. Petit precisely 9. Ryan's voice came through the intercom. She's here, boss. Send her up. Lana entered looking more put together than she had that afternoon. She'd changed into a dress Cole recognized from happier times, applied fresh makeup, styled her hair. The desperation remained in her eyes, but she'd clearly made an effort to present the version of herself Cole had once loved. Thank you for this, she said, settling into the chair across from him. I know I don't deserve your help. Let's see what you've brought, Cole replied, ignoring her attempt at gratitude. She placed a USB drive on the desk between them. Everything I could gather. Emails, photos of documents, recordings of conversations where Nolan discussed the clinical trials. He trusted me, completely never thought I'd turn on him. Just like I trusted you, Cole observed. Lana had the decency to look away. I deserve that. But Cole, you have to believe me. What happened between us, it wasn't planned. I was feeling invisible, and Nolan made me feel seen. While I was what? Building a successful business? Providing for our future? Planning anniversary dinners? You were physically present, but emotionally absent, she countered, a flash of the old Lana emerging. Always at the brewery, always thinking about the next expansion, the next award. Cole leaned back, studying her. Tell me about the FDA investigation. When did you first realize Nolan was asking you to do something illegal? The redirect worked. Lana launched into a detailed explanation of how Nolan had first approached her with sensitive documents that needed slight modifications. How he convinced her it was just corporate politics, nothing serious. How she'd only realized the gravity when she overheard him on the phone discussing possible prison sentences if the alterations were discovered. Cole prompted her occasionally, steering her towards specific dates and names, letting the recorder capture every damning detail. She implicated herself thoroughly in her eagerness to shift blame to Nolan. So to be clear, Cole summarized after nearly an hour, you knowingly altered medical trial data that was submitted to the FDA, potentially putting patients at risk because your married boyfriend asked you to? Lana blanched. When you put it that way, it sounds terrible. It's terrible, Lana. It's criminal. But I'm telling you everything now, she insisted. I'm trying to make it right. Cole nodded slowly. Yes, you are. And I appreciate that. Hope flickered in her eyes. Does that mean are we? There's no we, Lana. Cole stood up, walking to his office door and opening it. Dana Greaves stood in the hallway, along with an older man in an expensive suit holding a briefcase. Lana's eyes widened in shock and betrayal as they entered. What is this? She demanded, half rising from her chair. This, Cole said calmly, is me helping you do the right thing. Dana's attorney would like to take your statement officially. You recorded me. Lana looked wildly around the room, only now noticing the small device Cole retrieved from his desk drawer. Of course I did, he confirmed. Just like you and Nolan recorded each other, apparently. He nodded toward the USB drive she'd brought. Trust is in short supply these days. The attorney stepped forward. Mrs. Maddox, I represent Mrs. Greaves in her civil suit against Pharmatech and specifically against your associate, Mr. Greaves. Your testimony would be extremely valuable. In exchange, we're prepared to offer certain considerations regarding your own involvement. Lana's face crumpled as understanding dawned. This was never about taking me back. No, Cole agreed quietly. It wasn't. You manipulated me, she accused, tears streaking her makeup. Ironic, isn't it? Cole moved back behind his desk. Mrs. Greaves has already filed her lawsuit. The FDA has been notified of your involvement. Your only option now is to cooperate fully. Lana looked from Cole to Dana to the attorney, trapped by her own admissions. I don't have a choice, do I? There are always choices, Lana, Cole replied. You just made a series of bad ones. For the next 2 hours, Dana's attorney took Lana's official statement, documenting every detail of her involvement with Nolan and Pharmatech's fraudulent activities. Cole watched silently as the woman he'd once built his life around disintegrated into a sobbing, self-preserving shell, willing to sacrifice anyone, including Nolan, to save herself. When it was done, when every document had been signed and every recording secured, Dana approached Cole while her attorney escorted Lana out. Beautifully executed, she said softly. With her testimony, Nolan's career is over. The lawsuit will take everything he has, and I'll make sure of that. Cole nodded, suddenly weary. What about Lana? She'll likely avoid criminal charges in exchange for her cooperation, Dana replied. But her reputation is ruined. No one in Charleston society will touch her after this, and no design client will hire someone known for fraudulent document alterations. Good, Cole said simply. It's done then. Dana studied him for a moment. Not quite. You still need to walk her out. Cole found Lana in the taproom, sitting alone at the bar, staring blankly at the row of beer taps bearing the Blackwater logo. The attorney had already left with the evidence, and Dana waited discreetly by the exit. Your Uber should be here soon, Cole said, keeping a careful distance. Lana looked up, her once perfect makeup streaked down her face, eyes red and swollen. You never intended to reconcile, did you? This whole thing was just another trap. I never said I wanted to reconcile, Cole corrected. I said I'd help you, and I have. You won't face criminal charges, which is more mercy than you deserve. Mercy, she repeated bitterly. You've destroyed my life, Cole. My reputation, my future. No, he cut her off, voice hardening. You destroyed those things yourself. Every step of the way, you made choices. You chose to cheat. You chose to lie. You chose to commit fraud. All I did was make sure you couldn't escape the consequences. She shook her head, tears welling again. What happened to the man I married? The one who believed in second chances. He died the night he watched his wife give away his grandfather's watch to her lover. Cole answered without emotion. The night he realized 7 years of marriage meant nothing compared to whatever thrill you got from betraying him. It wasn't like that, she whispered. It doesn't matter what it was like, Cole said. It only matters what you did. His phone buzzed. The Uber had arrived. He gestured toward the door. It's time for you to go. Lana gathered her purse with trembling hands, reality settling over her like a shroud. As they walked toward the exit, she made one last attempt. Where am I supposed to go now? What am I supposed to do? Cole stopped at the door, looking down at her with detached curiosity. You didn't just lose me, Lana. You lost your life support. The financial backing, the social connections, the safety net, it's all gone. He pushed open the door, the humid Charleston night air rushing in. That's your problem now, not mine. She stepped outside, turning back one last time. I did love you once, Cole. I hope you know that. Maybe you did, he acknowledged. But it wasn't enough, was it? Without waiting for her answer, he closed the door and turned back to the empty taproom. Dana and Miles emerged from the shadows near the back office, watching as Cole methodically began turning off lights. Well, Miles asked, how does it feel? Cole reached into his pocket, running his thumb over his grandfather's watch. The weight of it felt right again, the last piece of his past he'd ever let anyone steal again. It feels like closure, he said simply. Dana raised her glass. To justice served. To loyalty, Miles added, lifting his beer. Cole joined him at the bar, the tension of months finally easing from his shoulders. To moving forward. Outside, Charleston continued its languid evening rhythms, carriage tours clopping down historic streets, music spilling from restaurants, the distant sound of boat horns on the harbor. Life moved on, as it always did. Inside Blackwater Brewery, three unlikely allies shared a moment of quiet victory, bound by the shared understanding that some betrayals cut too deep for forgiveness, but revenge, when carefully crafted, could taste sweeter than the finest beer. Cole smiled, a genuine smile that reached his eyes for the first time in months. The past was settled. The future, finally, was his alone.